Hello everybody, this is my fourth time recording this video because Canvas does not want to save my uploads, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. So, my name is Adam. I live in Central Florida area, so Orlando, Davenport, Kissimmee. And we can just get right into my first resource, which I chose Healthy Start Coalition of Orange County. They focus on improving maternal and infant health outcomes. They provide and help facilitate home visiting programs, education programs, care coordination for pregnant women and their families, and families with children under 3 in general. They aim to increase access to prenatal care, as well as reduce infant mortality rates. As far as the pyramid, I would categorize them at the base level of infrastructure building services, although they do provide the in-home visits. Most of everything else they do is like funding allocation, system development, and things like that. And my second resource, I chose Women, Infants, and Children program in Osceola County, also known as WIC. WIC is something that I have personal experience with. We used it for our second and third pregnancies. And WIC provides nutritional education, supplemental foods, breastfeeding support, referrals to healthcare for low-income pregnant women, new mothers, infants, and children up to 5 years old. As far as the pyramid goes, I see WIC listed in the enabling services, but I would argue that it's population-based services. Because it focuses on nutrition. And I actually, think WIC is doing something right in terms of what foods we're allowed to purchase with the funds that we get. And what I mean by that is with food stamps, you can buy Red Bull, ice cream, donuts, Gushers, all the bad things, or good things if that's what you like, but unhealthy choices, I guess. With WIC, you have to choose, normally whole foods, whole fruits and vegetables. I think it's like the 2% milk or something specific, the good milk or whatever. Cheese, eggs, certain juices. And I like that with WIC, it has to be things that are, not junk, because often we see, and I'm guilty of this as well, but, buying energy drinks with food stamps just doesn't seem right. With WIC, you have to buy, certain items, certain categories. One critique I have of, like, the purchasing criteria for WIC would be they only allow you to buy certain sizes of items. Like, you can only buy a certain size of cheese, you can only buy a certain size of eggs, or a certain number of eggs, certain size of juice. And this isn't the actual numbers, but just an example is we might be given $30 to spend on eggs in a month, but we can't buy the bulk eggs with that $30. We can only buy the bulk eggs with a discount. We can only buy the eggs that are like a 12 count a couple times. So, minor inconvenience, but overall WIC is good, and it, gives us money to, buy nutritional foods, which is very appreciated, as my wife and I were, trying to find every dime we could to make sure we were giving ourselves and our kids healthy options. The next resource that I chose to speak about is also one that I have a personal connection with. For my wife and I's second pregnancy, we delivered at the Orlando Health Winnie Palmer Hospital for Women and Children. It was told to me by my wife, and I found out, later and confirmed again today that, it's regarded as one of the number one hospitals for maternity care, maternal care, neonatal care, specialized doctors, specialized equipment, and so they offer, labor delivery services, pretty obvious, neonatal intensive care, and one thing I think that they do really well is support for high-risk pregnancies, and they have extensions specifically for high-risk pregnancies in Davenport and Kissimmee, and they try to make sure that more and more people can have access to those kinds of supports, because if it would be very difficult for someone in Kissimmee who's having a very specific high-risk pregnancy to have to go into deep Orlando every time that they need to have an appointment. So I appreciate them for making that accessible to more people. So they have really good chicken sandwiches. My wife and I ate probably like 10 of them in the 5 days that we were there. And that's all that's good about them. No, I'm just kidding. An example was my son. He was delivered very quickly, so quick in fact that his entire face got bruised, and because of that, I guess it bruised his nose. He's having trouble breathing. It's a very, very scary moment. We had no complications with our first, and this wasn't, I don't think, technically a complication, but just something that had to be dealt with. And so they took him to the NICU. I was able to go with him, and everyone just was knowledgeable, kind, and I definitely felt like they were all proud to be working somewhere like that. And I apologize. I think that I forgot to mention which pyramid for WIC, probably because I've had to record this 4 times. So let me just touch on that real quick. I think with WIC, it's actually in the enabling services, and that could be true. But I also would argue that WIC is a population-based service, because it has a very big focus on nutrition, nutrition for mothers, nutrition for pregnant women, nutrition for children, and they don't allow their funds to be spent on Red Bull or Gushers or anything like that. I apologize for that, but I'm not going to record a 5th time. And so if we go back to Orlando Winnie Palmer Hospital, pretty obviously they belong in the direct healthcare services part of the pyramid. They're actively involved in, services like delivery, NICU services, neonatal intensive care services, high-risk services, and they provide those directly to the population. So, sorry for such a long video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great night.